Yes, people, Watford boy, and it's still the international break, and fresh off Newcastle being taken over by brand new Saudi Arabian owners, the richest in world football. I'm deciding to make a tier list today, and that is of what every Premier League team will be in a few years' time. I'm taking 2025 as my example, looking into the future and why I think every single current Premier League team will be, whether that's still in the Prem, title challenging, or even maybe relegated. So, as always, if you're new around, if you enjoy football and Arsenal related content, please consider subscribing on my road to 700, and feel free to leave any video suggestions in the comment section down below. It could be football or Arsenal related or tier list, just general tier list videos like this. So I'm going to start with the order it's given on the screen, and that starts with Liverpool. And it's a hot take right off the bat, controversial. I'm going to put Liverpool in challenging for Europe. I don't think they're going to be title challenging come 2025. And the reason for this is their squad, don't get me wrong, it's a good squad, but I feel like their team is much stronger than their actual squad. And if you look at the players, they're great players. The Van Dijks, the Salahs. They're not, don't get me wrong, they're not old, they're not in their 30s, but they're reaching their 30s. Do I think Klopp will last till 2025? Not necessarily. I think he will move on by then. Not because there's a club better than Liverpool, but just to have a change in his career. I feel like he's one of the managers that he's done his job, needs to move on, he wants to do another job. He's not going to stay there like Arsene Wenger for 20 years time, etc. So although I don't think Liverpool will be bad by any means, I think by 2025 they'll have a drop off, no longer title challenging and just challenging for Europe, but we'll get back up to title challenging soon time. Okay, Aston Villa as well. And for me, by 2025 Aston Villa will also be challenging for Europe. They've done some good investment with the Jack Grealish money. They spent on Leon Bailey, Danny Ings, Buendia, some young players in there. Of course, Danny Ings isn't the youngest, but I feel like they've got a good manager in Dean Smith. They've got some good young players, some good experienced players as well. If they can mesh together, I feel like they have a chance to challenge for Europe because they've run very well as well. Chelsea, for me, title challenging. Of course, their new manager, Tuchel, I say new, he's been there for a year or so now, but still relatively new. By 2025, Chelsea have got a great way they run the club, man. They will never ever be lower than challenging for Europe. I know that season they finished 10th, but that was just an off season. The way their club is run from top to bottom is amazing. You saw they bought Lukaku, but they also had a net spend. I think they even had a net positive spend because they sold Tomori and players like that. They have a great way they run their club, and I just always think they'll be around the title challenge spot even come 2025. West Ham United, I'm going to put in challenging for Europe. Yes, David Moyes, will he still be there? Who knows? But West Ham have some good young players in that, and always are like a well-oiled machine. I can see they're getting better each season, and if they can kick on from last season in which they finished Europa League and maybe get another Europa League finish this season and build on from that, let's hope for them that they can keep challenging for Europe come 2025. Leeds United now, and for me, I'm going to put avoiding relegation. I know it's a hot topic. The reason is, do I think Bielsa will stay at Leeds come 2025? Not necessarily. I don't think he'll be sacked. I just think he'll leave. Look, 2025 is 4 years from now. So, do I think Leeds have enough to stay in the Premier League by then? Potentially. That's what I'm saying, avoiding relegation. I don't think their squad is amazing, to be fair. I think they've got a very good manager and a very good system. But does their squad suit that? Who knows, man. I think if they're not relegated this season, I feel like it could happen soon. So I'm going to put them in avoid relegation come 2025. Manchester City. Well, when you're Manchester City, you could be title challenging every single season. The amount of money they have. Their manager Pep Guardiola, I'm not the biggest fan of him, but he has the money to spend. He spent 250 million on right backs and left backs alone. Whether he's still at Man City, who knows? But whoever comes in, they'll have the money, and money wins titles in football. It's just the way it is. They'll be title challenging if they don't end up winning the league. That'll be the bare minimum. Now, my club, Arsenal, by 2025, I hope we are title challenging. You can call it bias, whatever. I just think the players we have a very young squad, around 23 and under, some of our players. Think about it, in 4 years' time, they will reach 27, which is the prime. All our young players will be in their prime by that point. And so if there's ever a chance to title challenge, it will be that exact moment. I feel like if we can reach Europe this season or next season, and then reach Europe this season and reach Champions League the season after, and then from then kick on to try and title challenge, I think it will align. If Arsenal title challenge around 2025, that will align with Liverpool when they sacked Klopp when they appointed Klopp in 2016, and they had that little period, and then around 2018, 2019 when they started to kick on and really challenge for the title. That would align with us getting Arteta. I feel like this is his first proper season with his players, and if he can start to kick on, hopefully by 2025, Arsenal start challenging for titles. Newcastle United, the reason I made this video in the first place, come on, they've got to be title challenger. Have you seen the money these men have? £300 billion. 300 billion. To put that in perspective, the second owner, Man City, the Sheikh Mansour, has 15 billion. 15 billion to 300 billion. The jump is astronomical. There's a pie chart that shows if you do the proportion of money of Premier League owners, the Newcastle owners literally has more than 75% of all the other Premier League clubs. Like, he dominates it. So if they're not title challenging Newcastle, their fans deserve a refund, man. Because of what is going on there, there's no reason they can't buy the best players, and Newcastle have to be title challenging come 2025. Manchester United, I'm also going to put in title challenging. Just for the fact that Ollie will be gone by then, I have no doubt. I don't see him staying to 2025. I just think it's a matter of when he gets sacked, to be honest. Ronaldo won't be there anymore, I agree. But they still have some young players, and it's the way Manchester United are run. It's so, like, the fans they have globally, they will continue to make money no matter who the owner is, even if the owner doesn't put in as much money. Like the Glazers, if they don't put in the money that they need, the way the club earns its income globally, it will have enough to stay afloat and title challenge for years to come. Leicester City, ooh, I'm going to put challenging for Europe Leicester. I don't think there'll be enough to title challenge yet. I think they'll stay around this point of challenging for Europe. They keep the investment coming in. Of course, Jamie Vardy will be gone by then. He's literally carried them for so long since he's been in the Premier League. But they'll need to find a new striker. This Daka guy, I don't know if he's about it. Neither Kelechi Iheanacho. But if they get the striker sorted, of course, they'll keep having good managers. They've won the league now, so they've got some stature about them. So they can still have that pull to get some of these key players, and I just think they'll still be challenging for Europe come 2025. Burnley, for me, is Championship football. I can't see Burnley staying in the Premier League come 2025. I don't think they'll be here. I think they're on a negative trend, and I really, really hope for their sake that they fix up soon. I don't know. I don't think it's the manager's fault. I don't think Sean Dyche is a bad manager. I just think with the players he's got, he's getting the best out of them, but there's only so much you can get out of them because they're not world-class players. Look, Ashley Barnes and Chris Wood are not Premier League players. They just use their strength and physicality rather than technical ability to get goals, which I think in the short term works for them, but in the long term I can't see them staying in the Premier League, to be honest. Wolverhampton Wanderers, for me it'll be avoiding relegation. I just think for the fact that Wolves are a club that obviously under Nuno had a good system. They've got this new manager now, and I think they'll be doing the same system. They exploited the Portuguese league, signing all those players from Sporting Lisbon because they were collapsing. They literally had to get rid of their players. They're giving them away for free. So they've obviously got a Portuguese orientated squad. Come 4 years time, will it still be like that? I don't really know, and I feel like that Portuguese players saved Wolves. I honestly don't think they would have made it to the Prem, let alone stayed in the Prem if it weren't for them. So I don't know if they can still do that unless they get very lucky and manage to do the same thing again. I can see them avoiding relegation come 2025. Everton now. And for me, Everton will be challenging for Europe. They've got a brand new facility. They've got, obviously, they're trying to step out of Liverpool's shadows still. They've got some good young players, like Pickford is England goalkeeper. He's not young anymore, but they do have some of the players do have relevance on the international stage. Do I think they'll be title challenging? Not anytime soon, to be honest. Not anytime this decade. But challenging for Europe come 2025. They're challenging for Europe now. So who said they can't do it in 2025 either? I'm looking at it though. But 10 clubs challenging for the title and Europe is a lot. It's going to be very congested. But it's all because I'm looking at the potential of these clubs. Of course, not all of this will happen. This is a prediction and projection. But on the current trends, this is the way some clubs are going. Of course, you never know what can happen. Some stuff could come out of nowhere and completely flip this over. Southampton now, and for me, Southampton will still be in the Prem 2025. I don't see them getting relegated. I don't see them really challenging for Europe. Southampton are a feeder club. They get their players, their academy is strong, and they just give the players to better clubs. That's what they do, and that's their model, that's their business model, and it allows them to stay in the Prem because they still use those players, and then with the money they get, they invest it back into their academies or back in other players, and they have a good scouting network. They'll be absolutely fine. They'll stay in the Prem. Tottenham Hotspur, controversial topic, but for me, still in the Prem. I know I'm an Arsenal fan, it's going to look dodgy, but trust me, I'm not being biased here. I'll give you my reasoning. All of Tottenham's good players, like the Son, the Kanes, will be gone by 2025 or too old. Those two have carried Spurs for so long. They've got a new stadium, don't get me wrong, amazing. Great business move by Daniel Levy, having a closed roof. They could host boxing, they could host NFL games. But that's going to hurt their finances. Daniel Levy, the owners already don't like to spend money. They're going to be less encouraged to spend money now. The manager, Nuno, whether he'll still be there, who knows? I don't really think he's a Tottenham manager, to be honest. That aside, I just think they don't have enough youth talent in their squad to carry them. Like, Arsenal, don't get me wrong, we ain't got a title challenging squad now, but our potential, we've got much better young players than Spurs. That's why I'm putting us there. I don't see much young players coming out of Spurs. Of course, I've got Oliver Skip, players like that, but I don't see them as world beaters. Like, by that age, you should establish yourself. Like, you're looking at players like Saka, Smith Rowe, Foden, Mount. They've established themselves at least to say they're great players. No one really talks about Spurs' youngsters as much. So, although I think they have got a good squad now, I think come 3 or 4 years' time in 2025, I think they'll still be in the Prem. I don't think they'll be challenging for Europe title challenge. They'll be safe in the Prem, don't get me wrong, but they won't be towards the top sides. Watford, for me, they're a yo-yo club, man. So it's literally a toss-up if you want to put them in avoiding relegation in the Championship. That's just the way it is. They yo-yo, they go up and down, up and down, up and down. I'm going to put them in the Championship because I think new clubs from the Championship might come up as investors start to invest in Championship clubs, because that's a new trend now. These rich investors, they're not investing in Premier League clubs, they're investing in Championship clubs and taking them to the Premier League and then making the profits from there. And I think Watford will get overtaken by some current Championship clubs. And so, although they'll be yo-yoing up and down from the Premier League Championship in 2025, I expect them to be in the Championship. Brighton and Hove Albion. This is all dependent on Graham Potter for me. I'm going to put them in the Championship because I expect Graham Potter to move on by 2025. He's an excellent manager. He's much better than Brighton and Hove Albion. I can actually see him going to somewhere like Tottenham Hotspur, to be honest. If he stays at Brighton, they'll be fine. But if he goes, their squad is not good enough to stay in the Premier League. They've got good players like Niel Maupay is a good player. Yves Bissouma, of course, he's arrested now, so I don't know if he's going to ever play football again. But I think their squad if you boil it down to the squad itself, it's not a good enough Premier League squad, and Graham Potter is doing the best he can with it. And if he does move on, I can see Brighton Hove Albion going down to the Championship. Crystal Palace, I think they will still be in the Premier League come 2025 because they've got a good crop of young players. Eze, great player. Olise, great player. They're buying good players from the Championship. Not necessarily Premier League, but getting them on the cut deal from the Championship. New Zealand, they've got a young manager in Vieira. I'm hoping by 2025 he will still be there and he will still manage to integrate his full system into that Crystal Palace squad. They won't have Zaha by then, but they do have Odsonne Edouard, who will be reaching his prime around that time. I think Crystal Palace will have more enough to stay in the Prem. I'm just hoping on their behalf they don't get relegated from now till then. They need to stay in the Premier League while Vieira integrates his system, his tactics, and while those players still develop, so that by the time when they reach their prime, they're in the Premier League and they have a time to push up the table, and hoping they can be secure in the Premier League and maybe challenge for Europe if everything goes right. Brentford now. And for me, the way it's looking, Brentford will still be in the Premier League. They've been great. They've been absolutely amazing, Brentford, to start the season. Of course, the same thing happened to Sheffield United. Then they hit second season syndrome and they went down. And the same thing's looking like it's happening to Leeds, where they started amazingly the first season and went down. So they have to be very, very careful they don't have the same fate as Sheffield United and the fate that Leeds are looking like they're having right now. Their manager's great, Thomas Frank. Their squad, of course, for me, it doesn't look like a Premier League squad either. But the players are gelling well. They've got the chemistry. They've got a great system. I feel like the next season will be very pivotal for Brentford. If they don't get relegated come next season, they're safe in the Premier League. That second season will be a big indicator. Once you make it past 2 or 3 seasons in the Prem, you're fairly secure there. It's the first and second season you have to worry about. The first season, of course, is to stay there to get the money. You then got to build, and the second season, if you stay there, you're gravy. You're sorted, you're good. Brentford, I expect to still be in the Premier League come 2025. And finally, Norwich City, I'm going to put in the Championship. They're a yo-yo club, just like Watford. They go up and down, up and down, up and down. They survive a season in the Prem, then go down to the Championship. They have a good model in terms of the young players they've got. They still have young players like Max Aaron, Todd Cantwell, who haven't managed to get a move. Emi Buendia did get a move. So they'll just keep doing that system of promoting the players and giving them to better clubs. But I expect them to just yo-yo up and down the Premier League and Championship. That is my final tier list of where I believe every single Premier League club will be come 2025 in a few seasons. Let me know in the comment section down below if you agree or disagree with this tier list. Of course, it is my opinion. I'm just basing it off potential. A couple of controversial choices, especially Liverpool and Spurs, but I'm hoping I've justified myself. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed Arsenal and football related content, please consider subscribing on my road to 700, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.